Hello champions, I hope you are preparing very well for your board examination. In this video, I have brought something interesting for you all. You often have heard what is data type and what is primitive data types. Today in this video, we are gonna learn a new kind of data type, that is user defined data type, which is also said to be as composite data type. And today we are going to prove how class is said to be as user defined data type in Java. Okay, so let me give you a brief summary about what is data type, what is primitive data type. Then I will be coming to why class is said to be as user defined data type. Okay, now what is data type? Data type usually conveys what type of datas are going to be stored in a variable. Suppose if you might have used many kinds of primitive data types used in your program for conveying what types of data types are stored. Suppose if I'm storing 5, for this I'm having a different data type. If I want to store Shubham Sarki class, if I want to store Shubham Sarki class, for that I am having a different type of data type. If I want to store decimal numbers like this, which is said to be as real numbers, I'm having a different type of data type to store this. So data type defines or demonstrates what type of data you are going to store. Okay, it defines what type of data you are going to store. So briefly and broadly, two types of data are divided, that are primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Primitive and non-primitive. What do we mean by primitive data types? Primitive data types are considered to be as fundamental data types. Fundamental data types we can say, or we can say predefined data types. Fundamental, or we can say predefined data types. What do we mean by predefined data types and fundamental data types? These are such data types defined, right? Defined data types. These are such type of data types which are already prepared inside the Java, so that you will be only using them in your program. So these are considered to be as fundamental data types as well. Predefined means already defined. Now coming to non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types are also said to be as composite data types. Composite data types and user defined data types. Data types, composite data types, composite, right? SITE, SCOMP, composite data types or user defined data types. Whenever we say composite data types or user defined data types, that means these are such type of data types which are dependent upon my fundamental data types. Means these non-primitive data types are used in the Java by the help of fundamental data types. Means the user defined data types which I'm writing over here. These are such type of data types which are created by the user. What is user defined? User defined means created by the user. These are such data types which are created by the user, and these are created only with the help of my primitive data types. Okay, now if you understood till this, you will be also able to understand the things that I will be saying thereafter. Now I have considered here as class. This is nothing but my class. Here I have considered many of my data members. These are nothing but my data members, or said to be as instance variables. Data members or instance variables. These are my instance variables. And thereafter I have defined a constructor. Okay, a constructor. I have defined a constructor which is parameterized, and here you can observe there are many arguments that are present over here. These are also said to be as argumental variables, or you can also consider to be as local variables. These are my argumental variables, or you may consider to be them as local or temporary variables. Local or temporary variables. Now what have I used? I have used this over here. Why? Because you may be knowing this. If you have if you do not know till now, you will be studying thereafter in your further chapters. Why am I using this title is equal to title? What is this keyword? This keyword represents what? The current state of an object. Okay, this is nothing but current state of an object. Here my this keyword refers to the current object within the class. It defines this keyword. This keyword defines my current object of the class. Current object of the class. What is this current object of the class? If you do not want to be aware of this meaning technical terms, then you can just remember that see, if I want to store, what am I doing inside the constructor? I am storing whatever argument variables are there that you are observing. I'm simply storing them in the instance variable. If you do remember the chapter constructor, inside the instance variable I am storing my arguments variable. I am doing that particular task. But what's the disadvantage there over is, you might be observing I am using a different, means there are like bulk amounts of variables that I am using inside my program, which makes my program lengthy. And if I am writing ever variable description, that also becomes bulky. But by using this title is equal title, here what will happen, whatever argument variables we have taken, if I am writing this dot title is equal to title, at this situation what will happen, this dot title, this dot author, this publication year, this ISBN, this all will be referred to as my instance variable. This all will be referred to as my instance variable, and these are my argument variable which I'm storing as I'm storing in every constructor. Okay, now what am I doing? Now I have considered a user defined function and I'm printing them all over. This is just an example, so I'm keeping it simple. And here thereafter I have taken a main method, and what am I doing? I have created a main here I have created a class. Okay, this is another class. Here I have created another main method. Okay, here I have created a main method, and then by the help of the class I'm creating object, and here I have passed some of the values, and by using the object I'm calling that particular function. Just observe that here you may observe, sir, in every of the programs in which of the class we are defining, we are writing the class name, but here my class name is main, but here some book is defined. Why? Because dear, here I am not creating the object for this particular class. Here I am creating the object for the class where my functions are present. As you might be observing, this is my name of the class book. For this particular class I am creating my object here, and it is possible. Okay, once things are public, I can create object of my any class in any of the class if the things are kept public. Okay, so here I am creating the object for my class, that is book, and here I am passing the values inside the parenthesis. Okay, and here what I am doing, by the help of, this is my name of the object, by the help of the object I am calling a function. Simple. Up to this you have understood. Now this is only somewhat user defined method is here. If you have observed this particular area, this is somewhat my user defined data type is. Now let us talk about the features. As I have told, data types will determine what type of data that you are going to store, right? What type of data type that you are going to store. Here this particular object defines how this function will work, what all things will be printed. Here I am actually printing, I have taken void, so here you might be observing I am printing things. So here what this object is doing, it is determining what things are to be done, similarly as my other data types are, right? So that is why we say that class is a user defined data type, because here my class, that is book is nothing but my user defined data type. Because by the help of the class, we know this that by the help of the class only my class only represents the properties and the behavior of the object. So, and my objects are used to call a function. They all are interlinked, like, don't be confused. My class is used to represent all the characteristics which is said to be as attributes and the behavior of the object. Now what does this object do? This object do call a function. So if you will be observing the whole flow and whole sequence, object and this particular class. So here you will be observing that for the functionality of the function that I have defined, that is user defined, can only be possible once I will be having a class. That is why class is said to be as user defined data type, because without the presence of class there would not have been existence of object and there would not have been existence of any function. Now the usability of the function is due to the presence of the object, and the presence of the object is due to the presence of the class. That is why class is said to be as user defined data type, because here a user has defined a data type, defined a data type for its own functionality. Here my class is user defined data type, and how and what is it working on? It is simply printing this all details whatever is given inside that particular function. This is the work that is my user defined data type here it is doing. Now I have forgotten to explain you that I like primitive data types. What is this primitive data types? There are 8 types of primitive data types. What are those 8 types of primitive data types doing? Integer is storing numbers, yes or no? Non-decimal numbers. So I can say that what all numbers whatever are stored, what to be stored. If I'm writing int a is equal to, just excuse me guys, if I'm writing int a is equal to this 8978, now what this a will store is defined by my integer. Similarly here, what this function will do is done with the help of the object, and this object can only be done if I am having a class. That is why here we are saying that it is nothing but user defined data type. Here as you may observe that here if you will be observing the work of my primitive data type, that is int, similar task is been done by my what? Similar task is done by my user defined data type, that is class over here. Okay, did you get? Okay, so if you have learned something valuable, make sure that you like to this particular video, subscribe to this particular channel for such insightful content. Thank you so much and prepare well for your board examination.